Project number 7, research your topic. Many of us have partaken in a process, knowingly or unknowingly, that has become a national crisis. One cannot turn on the news today without hearing about it. The president recently declared a war against it. Everyone's afraid of it. The opioid crisis is all around us and it must stop. In this 7 to 9 minute speech from the Competent Communicator Manual, Christina will educate us on opioids, their impact, and what is being done to address the public health emergency here in Arizona. Give a warm welcome to Christina Mencuccini, presenting her 7 to 9 minute speech, A Crisis Among Us.
The first and the last time I ever took an opioid was one and the same, and it was about 30 years ago. My roommate found me trying to feed ice cream through the TV while on the phone talking to my doctor and calling him sweetheart. Now, in my defense, it was my doctor. He was on TV, and he was really handsome. The rest, not my finest moment. Some years later, I was walking my dog one Sunday morning early in Flagstaff, and in the woods, I heard a holler. And I followed the voice, and I found a man who literally, his nose was not where it was supposed to be on his face. His story was that he was in a fight the night before. He was at the hospital. They gave him a prescription. He made his way down to the community health center and filled a prescription for 25 Vicodin. This man was a known substance abuser. He was an alcoholic. He was a street alcoholic and well known to the health system. And they sent him free with 25 Vicodin. So he scraped together his money, what little he had, bought a fifth of vodka, and found it reasonable to wash down 25 Vicodin with a fifth of vodka. Now, the cold winter night actually saved him because it slows down our body functions and is very counterproductive to such a atrocious act of ingesting so much substance. This is a crisis, and how much of a crisis is it? In 2016, 451 million prescriptions were issued in the state of Arizona for an opioid. And opioids, I just gave you 2 examples, OxyContin, Vicodin, Percocet, Percodan. There's a number of opioids out there, and they're readily available. In Mojave County alone, last year, since June 15th of last year, there are 200,000 residents in Mojave County, so out in the Kingman area, and over 6 million pills were issued last month. In the last month in Arizona, nearly 363,000 prescriptions have been issued since January 1. For perspective, that's the entire county of Mojave, and the entire county of Coconino could walk away with a prescription, and that's how many people. Or, closer to home, the entire population of Scottsdale and Tempe combined. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of prescriptions. And how dangerous are these prescriptions? Since June 15th of 2017, over 5,500 people have overdosed. And nearly 15% of those have been successful suicides. So nearly 830 people have lost their lives to opioid prescriptions in this state. And it kind of gets worse because 40% of those people live here in Maricopa, and over 53% had one prescription drug in their system when they died. 35% were only prescriptions. and 29% were prescription alone in the fatalities. Now last week, Governor Doug Ducey passed with unanimous approval of the House and Senate the Arizona Opioid Epidemic Act. And this is really important to us because we're losing our population. I just gave you examples, and we are losing population. And who's most at risk? Our men are most at risk. Overall, 59% of our men in this state are using a prescription drug. They start using it between 25 and 29, and they peak at 45 to 54. Oh, men and women alike between 24 and 29 are trying a prescription drug. And it's not the street people, it's not the people who live on the street who are using opioids. It's people around us. We're getting those medications daily from our physicians. And this Opioid Epidemic Act, how it helps us is there's a Good Samaritan piece to this. That means if you or somebody you know has overdosed, you can report them, get them help, get them to medical attention without any charges. And that's a big deal. Over 40 states have a law as such. And it's really important because previously people didn't seek help because there may or may not be charges associated with this problem. The other thing it allows, which is very important to the medical community, is the use and availability of naloxone, or Narcan is the street name of the drug. And what it does is it's an opioid receptor blocker. Let me explain that a little bit. Mm-hmm. You have the opioid, and it hits your neurological system. Narcan is almost an instant reversal of that effect. When you see it happen, as a medic, when you inject Narcan, this person goes from unconscious and totally unresponsive to what just happened. Sitting up, what just happened. Now the effect is temporary and they still need medical attention, but this reversal drug now is available to you and I, which is very important. And even though this was unanimously approved in the House and the Senate, there's still some controversy. Because now we've created a waiting period for opioid medication that some people may need. And there is now a need for consultation in some cases by a pain management specialist. So that's a specialty in the medical field. And in some cases, that person has to be consulted, so there's a delay now. And the other problem for some is that because it is a controlled substance, there is some controversy over the electronic referral. So when you go to your doctor and they say, I'm going to prescribe this, what's your pharmacy? And you go to Walgreens or wherever, and they already have your pharmaceutical prepared for you. That can't happen with a controlled substance. There's a few more steps that have to take place in order to do this. But those are minor compared to the numbers I gave you in terms of lives lost or lives affected, because 5,500 people overdosing, that ripple effect is much greater than that. And how do we fix this? How do we take care of it, take care of ourselves? Is we be vigilant. We be vigilant with our family and our friends. We be vigilant in our own health care. When the doctor says, you twisted your ankle, you have a pain, and some of them are readily, writing those prescriptions. There are alternatives that are not addictive. Opioids have addictive qualities. There are other alternatives that are not addictive and that are in the Motrin family, if you will. And there's other things. There's other therapies available. There are times when an opioid is necessary, so you have to be vigilant in using the medication as well. And lastly, this is not going to go away. We heard it in the State of the Union speech, and it's going to come up again because there are some legislators who are wondering about all these barriers now. So when the elections come forth, ask your state legislator, what do you think about the Arizona Opioid Epidemic Act? Are you supporting it or are you not? Because it's our health care, our bodies, and ultimately our taxes. So think about that when you vote next time, please.